orders. The Habsburg emperors had always had designs on subsuming the Republic, as it had Venice and neighbouring Pisa. To be allied to them, or even to ease their situation, flew in the face of centuries of hostility. The French, too, were too frequent historical invaders of northern Italy, and if they were static now, due to dearth and the approaching winter weather, they were a threat to be taken seriously, for they had enjoyed outstanding military successes in the years since their revolution had swept away monarchical power. At Valmy, 3 years previously, they had broken a mid-European coalition army seeking to march on Paris, led by the noted general of the age, the Duke of Brunswick. In the following year they had, merely by clever manoeuvre, obliged the Duke of York to abandon the Low Countries. Closer to Italy, and more recently, by the employment of artillery, they had chased the combined British, Spanish and Neapolitan forces out of the main Mediterranean French fleet base at Toulon. So there was a real possibility the French would break out into Piedmont. The route to the fertile Po Valley lay along the coastal littoral, and the Alps precluded any serious alternative, for its passes were well defended. The land that lay immediately in their path was ruled from Genoa, a rich prize in itself for a revolution short of the means to feed its citizens. If Liguria was a republic, it was not one that Paris would see as comparable to its own, being an oligarchy run for and by the leading citizens who made up the ruling signoria, men of wealth and pride of position, not proponents in any sense of égalité. Somers, a short, rotund fellow with a venous, bloated countenance, a man who struggled to do up the buttons on his waistcoat, lifted the canvas cover that masked the light on the binnacle to look at his watch, his voice reflecting his low mood. "If they don't come soon, we must get back out to sea." "I think they know we're here," Pearce replied. "They might be more cautious if they could see it also." It was as if Somers had been talking to himself, and had only now realized anyone else was close enough to hear. He had to crane his neck to answer, the man he was addressing being so much taller. "If I seek an opinion, Mr. Pearce, I commonly ask for one. Be so good as to keep your thoughts to yourself." The response was terse. "If I'm minded to have them, sir, I am also inclined to state them openly." He heard the intake of breath from a man who was his superior by many years of service. Pearce was not willing to let that affect him. He had never been a respecter of rank, and that extended to admirals, never mind long-serving and irascible lieutenants. "Since I am as likely to suffer as anyone else aboard from any errors of judgment, and I am not part of the ship's company, I feel I have a right to air my apprehensions." "Your arrogance is astounding," Somers spluttered in his response. But then he did that a lot, Pearce being convinced the mere sight and sound of his person brought resentment to the fore, based on more than his dubious elevation to the rank of lieutenant. Envy for good fortune, given he had enjoyed much success, a handsome appearance, as well as several added inches in height, only compounded the bitterness. "I cannot fathom what Admiral Parker was thinking for seconding someone like you to me." "Someone like me?" Pearce responded with a growl, one that implied a physical follow-up. "I also think, on reflection," Somers spluttered again, either out of frustration or caution, "I require you to leave the quarterdeck." "Odd to see reflection in pitch darkness. You must have extraordinary powers." The smoothly delivered pun went right over Somers' head, but he knew an insult when he heard one. He was audibly inhaling to issue a reprimand when a soft voice called from above. "Two sail, Your Honour. They crossed the glim on shore as they cleared the mole." "No lights?" "None, sir." Exiting the harbour would have been the only point of risk. Any trading vessel seeking to get to sea in a clandestine fashion would hug the harbour wall until they were obliged to clear the entrance.